Well, hello. It is February 22nd, 2025, and it is 9:47 p.m. on a Saturday night. Woo woo, Saturday, sitting at home. It's good. I love it. I do sometimes and sometimes I don't. Sometimes you just want to get out. Um, but I want to kind of share with y'all where I'm at because things have been crazy. Crazy. And then I get out and I can't say anything. When I'm not on the camera, you have so much to say to me, and suddenly I get in front of the camera and I can't remember anything that we were talking about. But it was good. And I was like, oh, I've got to record that. And I said, I can't record that because I don't have a way to record that. Can't write that fast enough. I want to say it into something. I didn't have anything to record it into. I didn't have anything, and I went, just record it. And then it distracted me, and I got distracted, and I couldn't do it. And all day today, I've been waiting to try and tell everybody everything. And I go, man, I went to the lake today, and I didn't have service where I was. And God was speaking to me, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I didn't have a way to write it. I didn't have a way to, I couldn't type fast. Like nothing. It was, I had to just speak it and say it, and I wasn't able to. And I was like, God, I don't know how to remember it. And I just kind of go, I don't really have a really good memory. And I remember that as a kid. I remember not remembering very well. And I had ADHD as a kid, and multiplication was really hard for me to learn. And and money, like counting money, and like, God, I was never good at all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But there were other things I think that I was good at. And everybody just kind of goes through that. And there's some things we know, and there's some things we don't know, and we all just have to just kind of figure that out and learn from one another. And I'm realizing that as I'm learning and growing about learning and teams and working together, and what does that look like, and what does that look like personally and for your family and it functions, and I'm just kind of learning from different perspectives and different ways that how things are looked at. And I ask myself a lot of questions, and I then sit here and I go, okay, God, now explain them, and then I just sit here and I have a lot, and some of the questions I kind of know the answers to, I think. But then I need God to kind of put it together for me. And so I have to sit here in silence. And this is why they tell you to be still and be with God. And I sit here and I go, okay. And I ask him some questions. And then he goes, yeah, but what about this way? And then what about this way? And I'll go, oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that way. Oh, that's a good way too. And I go through all of this with God. So then I turn around and I go, how would I know the answers to my questions that way? Or why would I have asked the question in the first place if I already knew the answer? How did I get that answer? And I stop myself and I go, okay, God, this is where logic comes in. This is where science comes in. This is where we question things. We're questioners. We're question kids. Like, we should be questioning things. And then I go, not testing God. We're not testing him. We're questioning for answers. There's a difference in that type of authority. So, if you're a teacher and a student comes to you and they ask you a question, maybe you don't know the answer to the question, and so you get offended. And because you're supposed to be the teacher and you're supposed to be more educated or more smarter than the kid or more whatever, you come at the kid kind of in an attacking way, or in a way that's probably not that healthy for that kid who's trying to learn. Because you just think that they're being a smart aleck, but they're really not being a smart aleck. They're really just asking you a question. And maybe the question is a brilliant question that you never thought of, and so you're offended because how did that kid ask that question? Why didn't I? And this is what I do. Because maybe they had good teachers. Maybe they had good people in their lives. Maybe they have something else going on, or maybe there's something else that's happening. I don't really know the answer to that, but you kind of have to go, who are you speaking to? And when we talk a lot about this, about who are you speaking to, and you go, okay, God, I'm speaking to you right now, and God goes, yeah, but what if you're speaking to an audience, and I'm using you as a vessel that way? And I go, right, what if you're using me? And I said, I asked you to make me a vessel, however you want me to be, whatever you need from me to be your vessel, to be your voice, I am down for it. I'm absolutely there, God, I'm absolutely there. I said, but the fear that I have is getting in front of everybody and doing what I can do now through you, but how do I do that in front of people and they receive that and I see their faces, I see the looks and not get offended at how crazy I probably look or how this or how that or, and all these. So that's stage fright, right? You have stage fright in that. Well, you're going to have stage fright in a lot of things until you get good at it, until you're comfortable with it, until you know about it. And then you go back and you look at Jesus. Well, Jesus didn't start. And this is where the Sermon on the Mount comes, right? He didn't start that way. And you go, oh, yeah. And then I've seen sermons from, what's-her-face from Duck Dynasty. And I don't know her name offhand. Sorry, I'm not good with names, but I know who she is. And I watched one of her sermons one time, and she talked about stage fright. And she talks about getting in front of people, and she says, I will never do that. I will never do that. I will never do that. And we say that. We say we're never going to do this, and then we end up doing that. And you just go, oh, put your foot in your mouth, right? Well, I'm not opposed to something like that. I'm not opposed to learning and growing and having a better understanding of giftings and things in our lives and learning public speaking and learning about the things that should be learned so that I can articulate the gospel correctly. I don't want to look stupid in front of people. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of go, okay, and God's going, this is a process. Everything is a process with him. So what you see in front of you isn't always exactly what the plan is or what the goal is. Everything has a step. You're coming out of that valley and you're going up a hill, you're going up a mountain, you're refocusing, you're redoing your goals, you're readjusting, you're recycling, you're looking at things differently, you're trying to redo your habits, your bad things, you're breaking the cycle, you're breaking the generational curses. Is everybody kind of with me? And then I go, God, that is amazing. And he just goes, come on, stick with me. Like, where are you in your walk? Where are you with me? We're further than this. I thought we were doing better. I thought that you were trusting me more. I thought we were having more faith. And I go, I'm trying to have more faith. And to live his words differently, depending on where you are, what season you're in, what's happening, what's going on, it's really hard to see that in your storms, in those chaoses, in those whatever you're in, whatever you're doing, right? How do you see God in everything? How do you see him in his creation? How are you looking at his creations? How are you looking at his children? How are you looking at, you get where I'm going with, like, how are we doing all of this in our life? And I go, God, that is a fabulous question. And then I remember I posted something about AI. And one of the things that the AI said was, I was already an idea that was thought of, that came about into creation, basically. It's basically what he was saying. And I had to think about that for a second. And if you look at the greats like Einstein, if you look at the greats, I can just keep going. I don't know all the freaking names, but all the greats, okay? Well, we can also look at Elon Musk as a great right now because he's taking us into a future that we don't quite understand. But isn't that how they all became greats? Because they all kind of looked crazy, or because they all kind of had a theory, or because and everybody said, that doesn't make any sense, or that's correct. It doesn't. So let's find out why it doesn't make sense. To you, it doesn't make sense because you're not seeing it from a different perspective. You're only seeing it from where you're at. And so to open up your mind to something more, to open up God, to open him out of a box, to take him out of a box, to do something more, for him to do more, to be more. If he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we do not yet know what tomorrow brings. But we have a great idea of what tomorrow brings. And so when you look at AI and it's an idea that's being created, we have a blueprint, which is a Bible that was already created. And if we do it the way that God's intended and we do it God's will, the Bible comes to life and we push things through. We pray things through. We make things happen. We can change the shift, the atmosphere. We can bring God down. The presence of God on earth as it is in heaven. The question we all have is, how do we do that? Nobody knows. But we have a blueprint that tells us. If we all come together and we all look at this and we go, okay, we're in a season of this, we're looking at, we can't deny, you guys, that there's already questions about can we control weather? Let's just get right down to it. There are questioning whether we control weather or not, correct? And you go, okay. I'm going to bring a whole bunch of things into questioning now. Moses could separate the seas. Could he do that because it's just a story and it's magical and there's no way that he actually really did that? Or do we have documentation and do we have proof and do we have knowing that he actually separated the sea? These are questions you should start asking yourselves. Jesus. How in the world did Jesus change water to wine? How did he take loaves and fishes and feed thousands of people? Just putting these questions out here, and everybody has a choice. Everybody can do whatever they want with the information that's being given. Correct? We all have freedom. We all have a choice. What you believe is up to you. And that is between you and God. But if we're going to believe in a Bible, and we're going to believe the stories that are told in a Bible, and we're going to start to believe every word that the Bible has to say, and we're going to live it, and we're going to worship it, and we're going to understand it, and we're going to praise him in it, and we're going to do this, we're going to go all the way, and we're going to push as much prophecy in the belief that we all have as much as we possibly can to please God, because that's a time and an era that we are in that we do not yet know, yet we do know something is changing. Something is shifting, something is moving, people are awakening, something is happening, we're all seeing a bigger picture of something, some way, somehow. I know this. I just know